Welcome to the Magic Lighthouse podcast. For those of us who are aware that we are spiritual beings having a human experience, the Magic Lighthouse is your mystical pit stop, your spiritual tune-up, your place to pause, reflect, and realign with the next phase of our journey. Join me, Violet Conce, on this adventure to harmonize and amplify the light within ourselves and each other as we raise the consciousness of the planet, one conversation at a time. Thank you for being here and sharing your light with us. Enjoy. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Magic Lighthouse podcast. My name is Violet, and I'm your host. And today I have a very special guest. It is my dear friend, Brittney. She is a pleasure priestess and the creatrix of I Am Sexy. She guides women through embodied, sensual movement and sacred rituals to deeply connect with themselves. She's also the co-host of Honest Feedback podcast. So, Brittney, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you so much, Violet, for having me. I am so happy to be here.
And we're happy to have you. I would like to start this conversation with taking a deep breath together. I usually start all my podcasts this way, kind of like a little guided moment for all of our listeners and all of us together to get grounded and centered. So if you would like to just close your eyes, and everyone just let go of your day, let go of anything that's been clouding your mind, and take a nice big deep breath. Let it out. Beautiful. And take one more deep breath in as you focus on something that brings you pleasure in life. Letting that breath out. And one more deep breath in, holding it at the top, and imagine an intention you would like to set for this podcast. What would you like to get out of it? Breathing in, holding, and let that breath out. When you're ready, you can open your eyes and come back into the room. You can wiggle your fingers if you want and your toes. If you were driving, I hope you pulled over for that one, so, in hindsight. And I love, Brittney, that you were just like, right? I love how you were moving your neck and just like, that's just, a little precursor to what we're going to chat about. So what do you got going on? Who are you? Like, what do you do in a nutshell?
In a nutshell, I am a pleasure priestess. And, that's something as a kid you didn't even know was a job or something one can do. And it's definitely been my life's path that has led me here to what this even means and like, what is that vibration and what is that frequency that I am here to serve, to transmit. And for me, I have learned that pleasure is my superpower. Pleasure and joy. I find so much joy and pleasure in all the ways. Like, I love the pleasure of laying in the sun and feeling the warmth on my skin, or dancing in the rain, or eating a really ripe peach and letting the juice like drip down your hands, or a hug, an embrace, touching myself. There's just so many different ways that we can experience pleasure. We're very sensual beings, sensual, which is facing your senses. So touch and smell and taste and sight, all of these different ways. And so often as a kid, I felt like this was very shut down for me. As a girl, as a Black girl, as for all the reasons that women are told, like, this is not allowed, it is not okay, you can't show up like this is dangerous, this is out of control. And I just remember I had a childhood memory. And it was a family reunion, like a big family reunion. My father is one of 7 children. So, and like everybody, like all the cousins were there. And so they were having a talent show. They're like, let's all have a talent show. It's going to be so fun. And me and my sister were like, we're going to do a dance. And it was the height of the 90s. TLC's Creep was #1 on the radio. Loved the song, loved the music video. I don't know if y'all remember, but they were dancing in silky pajamas. For those who are watching, I am wearing a red silk robe right now. I love a silk situation. I was so here for this. And so me and my sister do this dance, and we are having the time of our life. We were just dancing with what felt good in our bodies. We were circling our hips. We were like moving our arms around our heads. We just were being free, and we didn't think there was anything wrong with that. And I just remember everybody was like, this is so great. And after my dad essentially like snatched me and my sister and was very domineering and, you know, hit us and was like, you can't do that, and all the reasons, and just like it was a lot of shame. And I just remember feeling shamed and embarrassed, and really embarrassed, because it felt like there were all these other family members on the other side of the door, people who I felt like were celebrating me at first, and then my father came with this energy of like shaming, what you did was wrong. And then the looks that I got after, I was like, no one stopped him from his point of view. No one said, hey, this is okay, or there's more than one way for this situation to be. It was just looks of like sad and like, I guess you're in trouble. And so I just remember carrying that shame. And the message that my little girl took from that was, it is not okay to be in my pleasure. It is not okay in moves that just feel good in my body. And so I spent a lot of time not in my body, very much in my head. I excelled at school, very like, let's just focus on here, like, and just living from like the chin up and allowing my body to just be numb and moving myself further and further away, because I was like, well, I'm not allowed to do what feels good. And so I just kind of need to stay in like a neutral zone to survive, you know? And so having that experience and then carrying that weight, those heavy vibration emotions that are just very stifling, can be very stifling. My life unfolded into a journey of me learning how to find myself. And for a lot of the time in my 20s, I realized how much I was numbing and running with alcohol, with partying, with weed, with all these different ways to like not be present in my body, not be present in my feelings, and not be in my pleasure for myself. I felt that the only way I could show up is if I was supposed to be in the pleasure of someone else, typically in service to a man, and that this was the only safe way to express my sexuality or my sensuality, was supposed to be in this performative aspect. And I lived this way and showed up this way in relationships, just in life. I was just like, okay, this is what it is. And after this, it was a cacophony of an experience where my mother got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I was in the process of healing from a really violent rape. I got this message from source, from my higher self, that was just like, it is time to wake up. It is time to do the work so that you can move through this and start living your life, start being in your joy, start connecting with your body. Like I took that message to heart, you know, being with the violence that I had personally experienced, and then seeing my mother in the end stages of her life. And my mom was really young, like it was a very surprise diagnosis, and it happened really rapidly. I was just like, wow, life is really precious, and I'm missing out on a huge part of it by not being present, by not being in the fullness of my movement of my body. And that's when I found pole dancing. And pole dancing changed my life. I mean, that's where we met. Pole dancing changed my life and the way that I started to interact with the world. And I found it to just be a monumental healing experience for me for releasing those big emotions like shame and guilt and anger and sadness, and having a container where I felt safe enough to allow myself to come back into my body, to come back into the present moment and start to feel. And then from that place, start to move and discover and play with what felt good for me. What feels good for me, for nobody else, of just what do I want to do? Like, does my body just kind of want to lay on the cold floor? Does my foot want to just twirl around in a particular kind of nonsensical pattern? Like, how do clothes feel on my body? Like, what is it that really is lighting me up? And I've been on that journey ever since, and weaving in a lot of different healing modalities that have come to me and come through me. I feel me being a pleasure priestess is me stepping into the sacredness and that protection of pleasure is a birthright that is afforded to all beings. And how can I support women in the space of connecting to themselves and creating a larger container of safe space for people to do this kind of exploration with themselves through movement, through breath, through sounding, through ritual, through spell work. I love a little witchy magic. That was something that came through once I started being in touch with my body and being in touch with everything that was present for me. I was like, oh, there's some ancient wisdom coming through, that it's not just me here. The lineage is speaking to me and asking me to support others in connecting with these parts of themselves so that they can heal, so that they can live their best lives, so that they can wear what feels good to them, so that they can touch themselves, so that they can have the best sex ever. So that is what I'm here for. That is what I'm all about. I feel like that was a medium to large nutshell.
That was an awesome nutshell. Thank you. It's like, I shouldn't have said nutshell. I was like, just give it to me all. Like that was so pleasurable. Like the whole time my arms were like goosebumps, and I just felt the energy going. You know, it's just so nice to talk to you, and like I can really tell that you've done a lot of work on yourself, and oh my goodness, your story is just so moving, and we can talk about all different aspects of it, but you've been through a lot. And I appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing everything that you've been through, and how that has supported you in becoming who you are now, which is of service to others. You're an advocate for people just like enjoying life and being in pleasure, and it doesn't always have to be sexual. And in fact, most of life is not sexual. Like there are moments, and you could argue that all of life, there's different ways to look at everything, right? But it's just
yes.
Yeah. So I kind of want to just I want to mention your free offering that you have coming up on Saturday, this Saturday on the 11th, and I just want to touch into that right now, because I know that all of your offerings tend to have a similar message around it. So what do you got going on this weekend? And I think inside of sharing that, we'll get to more juicy insights.
Beautiful. Yes. So this weekend, I have a free community class called Be Your Own Valentine. And this class is all about slowing down and getting in touch with what brings you joy. What is lighting you up? How do you want to move for just yourself? Valentine's Day is a beautiful day of remembering to love, and I just feel like so often it's really focused on partners and couples and this one type of love in this one kind of way that is very much of like, give it to this other person. Wonderful, that's great. And I feel like it can be so much bigger. And one of the ways that I feel is not talked about enough is, how are we loving ourselves? How are we moving for ourselves? How are we discovering for ourselves what we actually like? I meet so many women where I'm like, okay, so what is it that you want? And it's deer in a headlights, because it's like, the level of not being present to what one wants, because maybe they've never been asked that. Maybe they haven't felt like they had the time or safety to even ask that with themselves of like, what do I want that wasn't told to me from someone else? Like, what really would make me happy? How do I want to put up my hair? Like, any of those kinds of questions. And so it is a container where we're going to move slow and dive into this. And every month I do a free monthly class, basically around a different theme that comes through for me. And I'm like, you know what? I'm feeling really inspired about this. Let's deep dive about this. Last month we were talking about tarot and the chariot energy and tapping into our inner warrior. This month I really felt the call of like slowing down, moving like honey, like molasses, so that you can actually start to explore, where is it that you want to go? How do you want to move?
Beautiful. I love it. So everyone sign up for that.
Yes, it's on Eventbrite. Violet, I'll send you the link so you can put it in the show notes, and I would love to see you there.
Yeah, I'll be there. And everyone else.
Yes.
You got to join us. So what are some of your, if you could give someone, like you only have a subway ride and someone finds out what you do and they're like, oh my goodness, I would love, like, what's one, first of all, you probably give them your Instagram handle or your website. But if, Instagram and
Yes.
internet didn't exist, what would you tell them? What would you leave them with as advice to lead a more embodied and joyful life?
That's a beautiful question. I feel like a lot of what I'm here to do is ask questions. Ask questions of like, hey, what's being your body like? Or do you know how your heart feels in this moment? Or what is your favorite piece of clothing and why is it your favorite? And I would ask questions, and my intention would be to support them and empower them in finding one way that they can start to connect with themselves. So one really easy way is through breath, stopping and breathing, like you had us start off doing, of, hey, would you like to breathe together? How about we sit here for a moment and take in a deep breath, and let's just start feeling our toes on the ground, feeling the bottoms of our shoes, feeling that support of the earth underneath us, allowing that attention to move into your ankles and up to your knees, in your thighs, taking a deep breath into your hips, into your womb, breathing through your body, allowing yourself to just feel, where are your hands? Can you feel their weight? How is your shirt feeling against your belly? Is it soft? Is it itchy? Is it your favorite? Breathing in your own essence and tapping in with just a little body scan. It's miraculous what we can discover when we slow down and actually are present with our bodies. And even just going through that little scanning through the bottom of my body, I was like, oh, I'm feeling a little something in my calf that wants attention. And maybe it's just presence. Maybe it's just like, hey, I'm here. Maybe it's like, oh, I just need to give myself a little rub right there, or hold my knee, or just be with my heart in this moment. But I love a body scan as a way to just drop in and check in with yourself, because so often we are just moving so quickly and rewarded so consistently for being in our heads. And our body holds so much wisdom. There's access to so much information when you're plugging in when you're allowing yourself to be present with your body. So that would be one way to start. And if it ended up being a longer conversation, I would share with them about the different ways that we can be in community together. So as I mentioned before, I have the free monthly classes. I want my community to be open for anyone at any level who is feeling that call to tap into their divine feminine energy and wants the safe space of a container to be held for that. I also have group programs, usually in like a 3 or 6 month container. And I have one-on-one embodied immersions. And so these are 6 weeks at a time, one-on-one, you and me, 90-minute sessions where we're going really deep into something that's an aspect that's really showing up prominently for you. So I love whatever kind of way serves you best for learning and for being with yourself. Some people are like, I really want the privacy of the one-on-one. I know I'm having something that I'm really working through, and I really want to focus on asking for what I want. And I want to spend 6 weeks really getting to like the bottom of like this nugget of, particularly for me to connect with myself, of like how to ask for what I want. And then others are like, I love a group setting where I can learn and be immersed in the experiences and hearing other people sharing and what their ahas are. And I want sort of like a basics, like a basics of like, okay, we're gonna learn about mirror work. We're gonna talk about safety in our body. We're gonna talk about worshiping our body. I want to dive a little bit into each thing because I don't exactly even know where to start. And yeah, and then we always have the free offerings. So I love to have a deep convo. That's what I call them, a deep convo. So I can understand what you are desiring, where is the pain, and we can figure out together what's the best way to move forward and what would be of most support to you getting what you want and having the life you desire.
Thank you for sharing that. And you actually read my mind because I pulled up your group, your Become Embodied, your group coaching website, and I was gonna ask, I was looking at the different aspects like mirror work, sensual movements, boundaries of self-love. So I love that you're connected here. All of us, we're all connected. So yeah, that's so great that you have these offerings. And so I wanted to ask you about if somebody in your life is, or if you as a person, someone listening is just so dissociated from their body, like that it's just so uncomfortable. Maybe they've had traumas, maybe they've had something's happened to them, or even just really intense limiting beliefs and being in a pattern of just like being in the mind and being go. And like I know a lot of people who, and I've been myself, I have experiences being so like, I gotta keep going, I gotta keep moving, I have to keep making moves because I can't just stop and be in my body, because if I stop and be in my body, it's too scary, it's too hard. So there's people that like this isn't even a conversation available to them, or it's like not even an option. So what would you say as advice to support, whether it's someone listening who knows someone like this and they want to support, they want to say, hey, come to the Brittney's free class, but they're like, yeah, no, that's not for me, like that's a little too uncomfortable for me, and I've had people, I've invited people to pole classes and they're like, oh, I thought about it, and then I was like, yeah, no, that's not for me. And I was like, what? It's for everybody. Like everyone, I've literally seen all kinds of people do flips over the pole. So so what would you say? What would be that, like, little nudge?
Yeah. Well, first I would tell this person, you are not alone. You are not alone. I was you. I was my own version of so disassociated, so afraid to be present in my body because of trauma, because of my life experiences, because of how I was raised, and to remind them that every day you have a choice of how you wish to show up to your life. And I would ask them how much being in this kind of pain, not being able to connect in their body, is already harming them. And if they are ready and open to start making a different choice, I really feel like it all comes down to choice. And there are times when we're ready for the healing work. You know, I was talking to a friend about pole dancing maybe 2 or 3 years before I ever went to a pole dancing studio. I kept finding excuses for why I couldn't go, why it wasn't working for me, why, oh no, I have a brunch then. Oh no, da da da, and so a lot of times this work finds you when you're ready. So I would encourage anyone who's trying to support someone else to just be patient and know that everyone is responsible for doing their own work, and to not take it personally if someone is not open to your invitation in this moment, but know that, like, remind them that they always have a choice. You can always choose into the experience of being open to what might be possible if you were to do something different. What might be possible in my life if I was to make a different choice? I mean, like, it's like starting with that question, what might be possible if I was to make a different choice than what I've already done? And I feel you from the place of one's nervous system. It's a lot when when you've experienced trauma and your nervous system has been hijacked. You might be in high alert. The level of threat to your physical being or to your emotional being, it might feel like straight lizard brain, we are running from a bear, is the level of threat in one's body and how it's showing up. And so I definitely understand that is a part of it and a factor. And it's how we are with ourselves in the small moments that really change the trajectory of our lives. I was sitting with my mom when she was sick, and I just remember she had this rare form of lung cancer, like, that happens in, like, non-smoking women. And I felt her lungs talking to me, being like, you have to live, like, you have to choose to live. And it's when I was like, oh, I have to choose this. Like, no one's gonna make this choice for me. I'm gonna have to do it. And it turned my life upside down. And was it scary? Hell yes. I don't know if I can curse on this part. Yeah. Yeah. Hell fucking yes, it was scary. I trust falled into the deep end of, like, I have to live my life, which means, what is everything that feels like a facade? Okay, I'm realizing that I actually don't know that I'm truly attracted to men. I'm actually queer. Okay, this is a conversation that's happening in my body. Oh, the group of friends that I have in this moment are beautiful souls, and our growth paths are going in different directions, and the ways and the vibrations with which they're holding are no longer serving me. Like, I can't be drinking every day. It's no longer serving me. Like, I don't want to continue to live my life in this way. And so I now need to make a different choice. Was it hard to be like, I don't think I should be friends with these people, and I don't think I should have this boyfriend, and all these things? Like, yes. Am I so glad I did it? Oh, when I look at my life now, I'm like, I could not have even dreamed it being this good. I could not have dreamed that I would be in a partnership that lights me up, that fills my soul, that I feel so wanted, so desired, so big, so myself. So I laugh so much. Like, I could not have seen that partnership. I could not have seen me being a pleasure priestess. I was working jobs that made me miserable. Like, I got clear on my boundaries and started saying no to my family, and really took a brunt when they're like, well, your mother is sick and we just don't feel like you're grieving in the way that you should be grieving. And I was like, the way that my process of grieving is, I really need to spend more time in joy and in being present. Like, that is my truth. And, like, I had to step up and become someone new in this experience. And from that, my entire reality changed by me making the choice to show up differently. So you can always send them this podcast and tell them about share my experience, and just lovingly hold the space of compassion of, you know, it's not your work to do, and people will find their way when they're ready. And if they don't, that's okay too. That is okay too. This is an offering, and like, it's an offering because people are able to say no to that. People can say no, like, actually, that's not what I want. And it's like, okay, then that's not what they want. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's also, it kind of like going back to the beginning, you mentioned, pleasure. You can find pleasure in just like twirling your foot or laying on the cold ground, or feeling the breeze on your face or the sun on your skin, and all these little moments, and presencing yourself to those moments. And if you're with someone who they want to be on that path too, you can say, you can declare it in the moment, like, oh wow, it feels so good to be here with the breeze on my face. I remember being around people for the first time that were very openly like in their pleasure, and kind of being like thrown off a little bit. Like, whoa, you can say that, or that's weird, or having my own thoughts about it. I don't remember, like, I've been through a lot of different experiences of my life and my body, and I'm a very I'm a very sensual person, and unless I'm like in a container, like a group coaching or the pole dancing classes or the belly dancing classes, it's hard for me to be that fully sensual self. I need to be like in a group, or like in a practice at least, like of daily dancing or whatnot. So like the world that we're in is not really set up to just be like fully expressed and sensual and free. And I mean, in nature, yes, but in the way that humans have constructed and everything like that. But that is a slight digression. I wanted to just like.
Well, can I speak on that before we?
Yeah.
I feel you, and like, I feel like part of what my life's work is to create bigger safe containers where I'm like, I want the world to be the safe container where we can all express our sensuality and experience the world. And I know what I do, the word pleasure can be really triggering, here being in a space where you're like, oh, people are in pleasure and maybe it's not sexual, like it can bring up a lot, like, for those who are watching, you can see this, but like, I remember when I first was in a class and a woman, she was like, have you ever seen anyone like at a Starbucks, like take their time to put up their hair, like rubbing your scalp, moving your neck, feeling how your hair feels in your hands, and like moving like this, all just for yourself to put your own hair in a bun. And it's like, no, I've never seen that. Like, one moving like that at the Starbucks seems like it would attract a lot of attention, and I just don't know. But, and
I actually know someone who had a similar, she was, feeling herself like at a coffee shop, and someone was watching her, and then she was like, whoa, and, it was a little awkward. So yes, but, and that's because she had been doing work on herself in this way. But it's, it's definitely not an average occurrence.
No, but you could, if you, when I be living in this frequency of pleasure that I am living in now, I feel that I've created a bubble that I feel safe enough to express more of myself in pleasure. And I know, like, when you see something, whether or not how you feel about it, just seeing something of like, oh, I didn't know I could do that, it gives someone else permission. Somebody else sees that and they're like, oh, I can take up space in that way. Oh, did she just ask for a rate? Did she just ask for what she was worth? That's a thing that we can do. Oh, is she wearing this color because she loves the way it feels on her body? Like, all these different things that, like, all these different codes start to come in, and it starts to erase the training, the indoctrination that we've been in of like, you have to move like this, you have to do like this. And so I I wish to create more spaces like that in the world where people feel safe enough outside of the container to be able to take this vibration out into the world. And like, I know, like, some people love me. I'm not everyone's cup of tea. Some people are like, you're wearing a robe outside. And other people are like, oh my God. They see the way that I carry myself because this is my favorite robe. Like, I love the colors. I love the way it feels on my body. I want to wear it because it feels great. And me feeling great in the world carries a different vibration down the street than me feeling hunched in things that just don't feel like me and don't feel comfortable. And I've noticed the people that I attract into my life, because I'm being more of myself, more of my own community, like, is attracted to me. If you become a magnet for the things that you want when you are living in pleasure, it's so powerful. I feel like it's like the power that the patriarchy doesn't want you to know. It's like, wow, when she's in pleasure, like, people are just like here for it. It's like, how do we support this woman? Like, look at what she's doing. Like, you can feel that power and that difference in the space. So I am here to encourage the revolution of taking up space, of putting up your hair in pleasure, of wearing the clothes that feel good to you, so that, another woman sees it and is like, okay, yes, I can do that. I too can take up space. I too can be in my joy. I can enjoy this fruit. I can lay in the sun.
So good, so good. Would you be open to sharing a little bit about your podcast?
Yes, absolutely. So my wife Lisette and I have a podcast called Honest Feedback, and it is a call-in advice show. And we have different perspectives, sometimes the same, but we both have done a lot of work. And we noticed in our communities, lots of friends and friends of friends would constantly come to us being like, can I ask both of you about this? Because they wanted both of our perspectives. And we were like, we should just start talking on cameras for this. And we have, and I love it. It's so fun. And we answer questions about anything: sex, money, pleasure, feeling trans, like, I don't know what the word I was going for. I was saying to say transcendental, I think. I don't know. Esoteric questions. We answer anything that is on your heart and that you are dealing with. And it has just been a roller coaster of a ride. We've had some deep issues where we're like, oh, wow, we are going to process some childhood traumas here on this podcast. Yes, we are. And how do I start to open up my marriage? My wife and I are polyamorous. We just have different takes than maybe like the average, hey, have you tried these 5 steps that Cosmopolitan or like some therapist, offered? And my wife is an alternative therapist or a complementary therapist. She is a trainer and master practitioner of neuro-linguistic programming and mental emotional release. So essentially her work is to help you get to the root of your limiting beliefs so that you can remove the baggage and start living and loving your life of purpose. And so she has her expertise of how she supports people, and then I have my expertise of how I support people. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful podcast. I highly encourage listening, subscribing, reading us. It's so fun, and I would love for y'all to call in too. Leave us a question.
That's awesome. I will put the link for your podcast below as well. Such an awesome
Yes,
thing.
thank you.
Yeah. And it's so beautiful. Your relationship with Lisette is so beautiful. I've followed your journey since literally I've known you since before you guys got together, and I've seen your relationship kind of like a fly on the wall. Like, I've seen it blossoming. I've seen your travels and your love, and every week I see some new thing. You like, I just put a pole in our living. You just put a pole in your living room, and you have like the lights and like, oh, here's the thing we're doing together, and it's always joyful. I'm sure there's moments that are, we all have our ups and downs, but for the most part, I really feel that genuine, authentic, like deep love for each other, that joyfulness. And it's kind of like you just met your match. It's kind of like you wanted to just just be yourself, just be able to play, be fun, have fun, be free. And you met each other. Like, that's just how you guys are. It's just like, cut the drama, cut the bullshit. Let's just play and have fun and have other people play and have fun with us. And I think it's so beautiful and inspiring.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I love the way that we met. Lisette and I met at the pole dancing studio, and I had to do my own growth work to even be open to that relationship, and that growth work was about me being open to pleasure. And it was like, once I tapped into actually fully taking up space in my body and allowing that vibration of pleasure and joy for myself, I was just like, I'm just living in myself, loving my life. And then I met someone who changed my life, changed the game. And I was just like, wow, all of this comes from me being myself and being in my pleasure. And yeah, I do this work. I mean, it doesn't feel like work to me, but I do this work because it changed my life. And I want everyone to have a life of their dreams, to have a life that's even better than your dreams, because it is possible. It is possible for all of us. So.
And the trick is to just do what the fuck you want to do and what feels good. Isn't that crazy? Like, we go through life trying to just like do what everyone else wants us to do. So we make other people around us happy. So then we can feel happy, but we're actually miserable because we're just forming ourselves to reflect. And it's just so exhausting and tiring. And it's just like, you gotta get to that point where it's just like, fuck it. Like, what do I want? What feels good for me? I do not want to go to that thing. I'm going to do what feels good. So incredible.
100%. Could not agree more.
Well, this was awesome. Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with? Any ways people can find you besides the links I'm going to put below?
Yeah, I'll just do like the best way to connect with me is on Instagram. I'm at Goddess Brittney King, Brittney. And follow the podcast, Honest Feedback Podcast. And I would love for you all to come to the community class this Saturday, 10:30 to 11:30, and tap in. And yeah, just hit me up. I love connecting with people. So send me a message, send me an email. There's lots of ways to reach me on the internet, and I'm here for you. So if you have questions about anything I spoke about and you're like, I'm really curious about this and I would love to talk to her more about it, use the link on my Instagram and book a call with me and like, let's talk about it. I'm here for it.
Awesome. And it's Pacific Standard Time, right? 10:30
Yes.
Pacific? Okay, cool.
10:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Thank you for that note.
Yeah, of course. I always forget some, like, yeah. I can relate. So, and then following your event, I'm hosting a Reiki for Love event. It's from 12 to 1. So it's just, there's a 30-minute window so you can get your dance on, get your pleasure on, and then come in, have a Reiki guided meditation that's centered around love. The theme is love. Reiki goes to where it needs to go. It's for, it's for the whole, but having the themes, having the intentions, I find makes it fun, and you do get different things out of it. So if you would also like to join for that, it's a free to donation base. So if you would like to donate, I appreciate it. And it's also something that I like to offer monthly as a way to give back, as a way to have it be attainable, accessible, and it's fun. I love doing it. So thank you so much.
I love your
being
Reiki. Oh, thank you. I love your Reiki. It's just, you're an amazing, talented practitioner. And yeah, thank you so much for having me. Oh, I have one more offer that I forgot to mention. Can I
please?
Yes. I also make ritual products, and I have a pop-up shop. So if you're in Portland, Oregon on Sunday, from 11 to 5, I'm doing a pop-up shop at this beautiful boutique called Workshop Vintage. It's like half crystal shop, half thrift store, and I sell ritual body scrubs, and I have a limited edition one called My Pleasure that's all about tapping into your sacral chakra and finding what feels good for you and igniting that internal fire from the outside. Plus, it makes your skin super soft. And if you're not in Portland, Oregon, find me on Instagram. You can still order from me and I will ship it to you. So I have that one. I have another scrub called Love and Let Go for releasing in pleasure. And I make Florida water, which is a blessing and cleansing water that you can use to clear spaces and use for intentions.
Beautiful. I love it. Great.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay. I'm so proud of you. I've seen your journey. Like, I've known you for years now. We're just now starting to really get to know each other since we've been kind of collaborating, which is really beautiful. And I just want to say I'm very proud of you. I'm very excited for all the offerings that you have and all the people that you're making a difference with, even myself. And I'm honored that you joined us today. So thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. Like, this has been an honor and a pleasure, and I love our collaborations, and I'm excited for more in the future. I'm feeling retreats in the future.
Oh yes, for sure. That is
Yes.
like, it's coming. It's coming.
Yes, it's coming.
Yes, woohoo! Alrighty, well, have a good rest of your day, and thank you everyone for listening. See you next time.
For more guided meditations, soulful conversations, and conscious content launched weekly, please follow the Magic Lighthouse wherever you listen to podcasts. See you next week.